So today we're pleased to interview for the LINNC online newsletter, Professor René Chapot, Head of Neurology Department at Alfred Krupp Krankenhaus in Essen, Germany. Dr. Chapot is a world-renowned for technical advances in the field of interventional neurology. Dr. Chapot, welcome to this interview for the LINNC online newsletter.
Thank you. Hello, Igor. Hello, Dr. Pagiola, and hello to all LINNC online listeners.
So in this edition of our newsletters is dedicated to the treatment of stroke, and the object of this edition is the MeVO treatment. And I would like to talk with you, Professor, the tips and tricks to performing a thrombectomy in the MeVO occlusion. So our first question is, what are your criteria to do or to indicate the MeVO treatment? Like, I don't know, the vessel diameter, the clinical deficit, the eloquence area. What do you analyze to do a MeVO treatment?
It's a very difficult question because you have some striking situation where you have an isolated distal occlusion with a patient having a high NIH score where the answer is obvious. But most of the situation we're facing are patients with proximal vessel occlusion where the proximal clot is retrieved and then you realize that there is either residual or additional clot that could not be seen from the beginning. In retrospect, very often it's a clot that was there before. For instance, you focus on the MCA is reopened, and then you realize that there's an occlusion of the pericallosal arteries that was missed because, of course, the other one was more obvious. And as procedures are in our institution usually done under general anesthesia, it's difficult to properly evaluate a patient. I presume for other patients, even if it's not a general anesthesia, it may not be so easy. So it's rather a question of fundamental debate. Why should you stop? You can say it's not proven. Yes, studies are going on, but you can say that since thrombectomy started, all the studies always show that it's better to have the vessels reopened than occluded. So why should those vessels stay occluded if there's a possible way to reopen without having too many risks?
Okay. And do you think that there is a difference between stent retrievers or aspiration during the MeVO treatment?
Probably. Aspiration is, the catheters for aspiration are progressively improving and they're getting better and better, but there's still a paradox, which is the fact that for distal vessel occlusion, the vessels that are involved are small. So you want to bring the largest possible catheter in the smallest possible artery. And where is the limit to do so is unclear, but I cannot imagine that bringing large catheters in small vessels is not at high risk. And I think that the smaller the microcatheter in a small vessel, the lower the risk. That's why, for me, there is no indication for aspiration in distal vessel occlusion.
And in my country, sometimes it's difficult to have all the devices. And do you think that it is possible to treat MeVO without dedicated device? And do you think that is possible to use a 4mm, for example, a stent-retriever for treatment like this for MeVO treatments?
The answer is clearly yes, because the definition of MeVO is by far not as precise as it's supposed to be. M2s are in most articles considered as distal occlusions, and we know since thrombectomy is going on since now 15 years that M2s have been systematically done, at least in our experience, with all the devices that are available. So if you talk about M2, you can put anything you want inside, and there our standard material is a Solitaire 640. Same thing for pericallosal artery. If you can navigate with a rebar 18 microcatheter, you can go distally in the A2, A3, same thing for P2, P3, and then deliver your usual standard stent-retriever. There is no issue and there is no contraindication. It's not because on the box is written 6x40, is not a PTA balloon that will enlarge the artery by 6 millimeters. Otherwise, all patient would die. So it works, and it works on very well. If you go in the distal branches of the MCA, it becomes more tricky, and it's a bit more difficult to navigate a larger catheter. So if you can, my first choice is Tiger 13 with headway duo. If you see that you have got an occluded pericallosal, first try with a regular material if you can bring the rebar 18 beyond the clot.
Understood. And do you have any technique to remove the stent retrievers during the MeVO treatment to reduce the chance of bleeding or complications like this during this treatment?
That's again an important point. And you know the answer. The answer is that why do you have to deploy the entire length of stent-retriever if the clot is very small? So the procedure should be done, point one, under general anesthesia. Don't try to go into small arteries without general anesthesia because the chance to create a bleeding is very high. The patient must not move. It must be very precise. Point one. Point two, understand where the clot is. This means, ideally, with your headway duo, bring it beyond the clot, inject contrast so you see where the clot ends, retrieve the microcatheter while injecting so you see the proximal and distal end of the clot. Usually, you can re-push the headway duo without placing a wire inside, and it goes beyond. When you know the exact lengths, deploy the corresponding lengths of stent-retriever or Tiger in front of it. You don't need to deploy a 3 centimeter stent-retriever for a 2 millimeter clot, because the more stent-retriever is outside, the higher the friction when taking it out, the higher the chance to create a bleeding by straightening of the vessels.
And my next
one and point two, pinching is another thing which is very important, which is when the stent-retriever is open, what does it make to keep the clot? It's because you bring a microcatheter on it and the clot is held in between the struts of the stent-retriever. So once the stent-retriever is deployed, if it's not a Tiger, then push your microcatheter on the stent-retriever until the origin of the clot. This holds the clot. This is something which is specifically with the Catch Mini very important to make it work. Otherwise, it will not.
This was my next question about the pinch technique. So you already answered this question about this amazing technique that is the pinch technique to get the clot out of the patient. And another important question, Professor Chapot, if there is a bleeding during a MeVO treatment, what should be done in this situation?
So bleeding is unfortunately something which is much more frequent, but the more we search for bleeding, the more we realize that we induce some microbleeds that are not clinically relevant. That's why point one, we should search for it, to detect it, and to know how to react, which means searching means doing a control angiogram selectively with a prolonged phase so that you can see if there is a contrast agent stagnation after 30 seconds. Point two, make a cone beam CT to see if there's some extravasation. Most of the extravasation you can see stops within a couple of minutes. So if you want to try to prepare something, in the meantime that it's prepared, that you bring the microcatheter in place, you don't see it anymore. What is very helpful is to reduce the blood pressure. So have your anesthesiologist helping you, having him on board, understanding what you do, raising the blood pressure as long as the vessels are occluded, but reducing the blood pressure as soon as you need it. if you see that it's still bleeding, temporary coiling may be a solution, where usually after a couple of minutes you see that bleeding has stopped. So don't go to replace a clot that you just retrieve inside the vessels. This is not a solution to do.
Professor Chapot, it was a big pleasure to interview you for the LINNC online magazine. Thank you very much for sharing with us your knowledge, and I'm looking forward to meeting you soon. Have a nice day, Professor Chapot.
Have a nice day too, and see you soon. Bye-bye.